You've seen the headlines just crossing the Bloomberg, Apple poised to slash its iPhone production. It's because of that chip crunch. What does that say to you?
So, Carol, I completely agree with you. If Apple's going through these pains, think about what the others are going through. So I fully support what you just said. Now, think about it this way. If you are an Apple buyer, you're not changing it. You will remain an Apple buyer. So from my side, it just moves the shipments on to the next quarter or to the next quarter and forth. So it's not going to change what Apple is as a company. You're not going to have people, try to get to a different smartphones. But the problem is going to be for these other vendors that don't have that level of brand loyalty.
Anurag, it's interesting. Full disclosure, I'm a Google Pixel kind of a gal. And I actually got a new phone recently. It was really hard to get one from the likes of the big box retailers. I had to go to a Google store. That was the only one that was going to be able to provide it for me. Where are we going to see the retailers impacted by this? As you're saying, are you going to hold out or are you going to be able to buy it from Apple direct but not be able to buy it from some of the other vendors and the like? How do you see the ripple effects from Apple's own supply chain but Apple's own retailing?
I think a lot depends on how long is this bottleneck going to last. Does it really end up into the holiday season or not? I think that's where it can hurt some of the vendors, whether it's, the Best Buy, the Walmarts, and the others. But from an Apple's point of view, the shippings got pushed back by a few weeks. I mean, I've been waiting for my phone it's not going to come till another 2-3 weeks. And, even if I have to wait for another week, big deal. But you're right. If it goes into the holiday season, I think that's when some of the troubles start to occur.
Yeah, I mean, how big of a hit is it to Apple if that actually happens, Anurag? I mean, we know that this is the most important quarter by far for the company.
No, that's fair. But think about it this way. If they are going to do over 200 million units over the next 12 months, whether it gets shipped into the next quarter or the quarter after, do you really think it impacts a long-term, holder as much? It's a question is, do they go somewhere else? And I think that's where, our argument is an Apple, user is going to remain an Apple user. And it's not as if they're going to go and find another phone of, another brand anyway.
Well, that's true, Anurag, and we know we've seen the resiliency of Apple and, more importantly, the stock and the way the customers stay tethered to that system here. There are a lot of suppliers out there, though, that are dependent on these cycles. They don't have much loyalty there with regards to their customers. They're dependent on Apple, whether you're talking about the Qorvos of the world, the Cirrus Logics, the Skyworks, onsemi. A lot of these companies now are basically going to wait to find out what's happening with the supply chain. Can they recoup whatever is lost now in the future?
One comment I do have is the question at hand is, how do you fix the supply chain? And as one of your colleagues just said, this is not an easy way to fix it. It is going to take a few years to go out and fix this problem. And I think that's where the administration and even Apple management will have to figure out whether they start investing a lot more locally so that these things don't happen again.
Hey, Anurag, what does it mean, too, that, we've also talked about Apple doing, creating its own chip production and really controlling more of its supply chain? What does that do for a story like this? What does it do maybe for those initiatives within the company?
I think it is, that has been going on. I mean, the new MacBook that's going to come out on Monday, hopefully, from what we have read, will have that chip that is designed by Apple. I mean, it's not an Intel chip. So, those kinds of innovations are important because it does pressure the other suppliers out there. I think if Apple takes care of, end-to-end, a large portion of these parts that go into it, it's going to be less dependent on others.